Hello. So this is our coach call. It's Monday, the 14th of January, and today we are going to be talking about Instagram for your vision. Hi, Vix.
Hey, I've been waiting for 5 minutes on another thing.
Oh,
Frustrating.
weird. Oh, okay. I've just
Anyway.
I've just pressed record, so we'll get going. I haven't got any slides for today. So I just thought, like, I'll talk at you for a little bit. We've got about half an hour, and then we could maybe share some things, or we could have a quick look, scouty into our Instagram, see what things have gained a little bit of traction. I'll tell you a little bit about what happened to me and when my business kicked off last summer, and maybe actually I could then pop that over to Helen, because Helen joined me at a time in our team when my business did start to kind of take off a little bit, and I think Helen had been following me for a little while, so it would be awesome to kind of get your opinion from the other side of the fence about why did you decide to start Beachbody with me, sort of thing. So I've kind of got a few pointers. A lot of this stuff I've kind of picked up from what I've been doing, from sort of Scotty's team calls, from national wake up calls, from other training that I've found. So one of the things that I have done, or one of the things that I did when I started, and I felt that I needed to work on this, was I had a look back through the national wake up calls to see whether there is anything on this particular area. And something else that I'm trying to do more of is I'm trying to, if I get stuck on anything, I'm literally going into YouTube and putting things like Beachbody, grow your brand, or branding, or whatever, because there is so many top coaches, and like I put all of these team calls onto my YouTube, they all put their team calls on there, so that all of this information and all the wealth of knowledge and experience that these top coaches have got, they put it straight onto Instagram, because they want to help other people build their businesses and help other people live more fulfilling lifestyles. So that's where I've got all of this from. And yeah, I'd highly recommend it, because I'm definitely not a guru. I've only been doing this for just over a year, and I feel like I'm really just starting out. So this is just kind of some tips, and these are some of the things that I want to start doing more with my business as well. So I've got a lot to learn. So if you've come up, or if you've seen any other helpful tips and hints, then please do share them too. So we'll get going. So one of the things that kind of the reason why I wanted to do this after the goal and vision setting that we did last week is to kind of, all of the top coaches, they all talk about goals and visions and your story. And really, I think that that's what it boils down to, and what we need to be doing on social media, whatever platform that is, that we need to, we want to build our business from. So we're not going to kind of cover how to grow followers or anything like that, but just purely about how do we connect with other people so that we can genuinely and authentically share who we are, and so people can learn to trust this and then come on this journey with us, is what it really is. We're in the relationship game, if you like. Hi, Raven. So we'll start with that, really. So the first, I was listening to a call a couple of days ago, and the whole thing, we were talking about it last week, about knowing what your goals and knowing what your vision is and writing that down, and basically going and writing that down and having it somewhere that you can see it, and looking over those goals on a regular basis. And one of the other great tips that I thought what was really, really brilliant was going through that and picking out the key words that for you stick out and stand out. And those need to be the words that you repeat on a regular basis, so people can really kind of get to know you and get to understand you. So there are definitely some key words that I seem to use a lot. And it's about trying to make sure that every time you're sharing anything in your in your posts, in your Instagram stories, that you're doing so with that same voice, because that's repetitiveness, but also that kind of consistently sharing and that consistent clear message allows your followers to relate with you much more, because you're not jumping from one thing to the other. So, you know, you're not one day going something along the lines of my goals are to be, I don't know, to have a six pack, to the next week going, my goals are to get really lean legs. I know that they're very, you know, they're sort of similar fitness related goals, but just being very clear about what your vision is, and you're sharing with purpose and on those same things is really, really going to be of benefit to you. So picking out those keywords, if you're struggling to get those keywords, one of the things that I would suggest is looking back at your avatar and knowing who your target audience are. So if you haven't done finding your avatar, then I would highly recommend it. Have all of you done an avatar? Have you got an avatar to find your target market? Because that will help you to know, and you know, so I know exactly who my avatar is. My avatar, her name is Melissa. Don't know where that name came from, but she is a mum. She works part-time. She wants more money to do things with her kids. So all of these things, they're me. That's what I want. And those are the people that I'm appealing to. I'm not appealing to, you know, the fitness or the yogis who, you know, have been doing yoga for the last 15 years and, you know, they've got their love and their drive. I'm looking for someone that is exactly like me before I started my journey, that wants similar things to me. And you really need to kind of relate to your avatar. And when you're writing your post, to help you, I guess, write with purpose, is really good things to read it back and think, right, am I writing to myself? Because if you're writing to yourself and you really feel that you could relate to the person that you're writing to, then you're making sure that you're writing with that purpose and you're appealing to the people that you want to join you on your journey. And do that every time you write a post, and read it back. And another thing, to make sure that you are writing with authenticity and you're being honest and transparent, is think about, if your best friend were to read your post, probably a lot of your best friends do read your posts, would they say that that sounds like you? Would they say, yeah, I could hear Raven saying that? Would they say, yeah, that sounds like Helen writing that? If it doesn't, then you need to go back and find your voice, because you will connect with people much, much more and on a much, much truthful basis, and on an authentic basis, if you are really writing in your true voice. So just a little tip there on your avatar and how you can use your avatar to help make sure that you're writing with purpose and to build your vision. The other thing to do, and I need to go back and redo this, is write down your story. And your story is important for so many reasons. We know that people say, we say this all the time, know your story, and sharing it with authenticity, honestly, and being transparent about your story is how you're going to be relatable. When I first started this, I thought, do you know what? I am boring as no one. I'm not going to appeal to no one. My life is boring. I don't do anything interesting. There's nothing about me that's anyone is going to find relatable. That is bollocks, because everyone is relatable in their different ways. Even if it is that you feel that you haven't got any hobbies, that actually your life is your family and your kids, well, that is relatable. Not every single mum in the world, and this is something that it took me a while to realise, has a gazillion hobbies and has a gazillion different interests that make them interesting. You know, it's about relatability, not being an interesting person. So yeah, really recap on this. Free write I would spend half an hour trying to do this, and write down your story right from when you were a childhood, through your adolescence, through your teenage years. That's the same as adolescence. You know, whatever you did, whether you went to university, your first jobs, your relationships, your family, it can be really, really hard to write because it can bring up a lot of things. But that is really important, because in doing that, you are reminding yourself where you have come from and where you are now. And yes, you know, goals and visions, it's all about future focused. But no doubt your goals and visions are connected to your history and your story. And in doing so and sharing that authentically, you are going to really, really, you know, show people how you are and who you are. And they're going to start building up that trust with you, because that's what it's all about. So it's important to think about before Beachbody. It's important to think about your life up to the point of Beachbody. I've also said to you girls before, like, having your challenge pack story and knowing what your challenge pack story is really, really important. And this might change over time. So things will kind of continue to come up in our lives, and that we're going to have struggles. And you want to write that into your story, because that is now part of you. That is something that has happened to you. You know, making it part of our dance, our struggles, our obstacles, the good things as well. Like, I think often we do just think about the struggles, but we've all had some pretty amazing stuff that has gone on in our lives, and it's important to share that too. Yeah, and there's no reason why that journey can't change. Or you might remember something from your past that actually it wasn't really of relevance at any point when you've maybe written your story down before, but now it might be. And it's important to keep that, you know, in check, keep that at the forefront of your mind, because that's really going to help you with sharing all of those sides of things. So struggles, memories, obstacles, the good parts, you will relate to other people by capturing all of those things. The next thing I know I need to then do is I need to write that down and then put it somewhere that I can constantly pull from. So wherever it is that you might sit down and write your posts, whatever it is, or wherever you're going to see it, it might be printed, it might be, you know, somewhere on your computer, so that you can actually pull it up and make sure that you're writing and you're sharing transparently, honestly, and authentically. And, you know, we always, and a lot of people always say this, share your heart, because actually if you share your heart and you share authentically, in the long run, that's going to create trust, and that's going to be much more relatable than someone that stood there with their 2B bottle going, I've got my water in today. That's also good, but, you know, people don't care about the products. And, you know, I used to work in recruitment, and it you know, I built such good relationships with a handful of clients that I worked with really, really closely. And it wouldn't have mattered if I worked for the worst recruitment company or the best recruitment company in the business. It wouldn't have mattered if I was charging 4 times what I was charging them, because they built that relationship with me and they can trust me, and they would use me to put in contractors into their business because they knew my work ethic, they knew what I was about, we got on as people, they understood, you know, what my values were and all of those sorts of things. And so they came to me, and we are in a people and relationship industry. It's really difficult, you know, there is so much out there on the market. We know that we have world-class fitness and nutrition programs. There are loads of others out there. So what makes us different in Beachbody is you. Like, we as coaches are the difference between another nameless company and the fact that when people are joining you, they are joining you and your and who you are, and joining our team. And I think that is really important. And if you don't do this, how are people going to know what you are like? How are people going to know, you know, what your values are, what your history is, the struggles you've been through, if you don't authentically share some of that? So hold on, water break. So that's really important. Another thing I heard, which I thought was really, really interesting, is stop running away from it. So stop running away from your story, because actually it can be really, really hard to share some of this stuff. Like, today is the first time I have posted the words, I lost a baby. The first time I've done it. It was really mentally really, really difficult for me to write that. No one's even picked up on that point, but I'm sharing authentically, and I'm sharing you know, something that was really real for me, and that's something that has really been a struggle, and that's okay. Like, we're not perfect, and no one wants to see this perfect picture. You know, I often feel like this. People look at me and go, well, she hasn't got any weight to lose, or she hasn't got this, or she doesn't know what I'm going through. Well, heck, I probably have done, but unless I show what I looked like before, or show some of the struggles, how are they going to know that I have been there and I can help them with their journey because of what I've been through in the past, if that makes sense? So yeah, stop running away from your story, pulling pieces from it and sharing it. And, you know, you don't have to be the person, you know, people need to understand and relate to that you're the person that you are today because of what you've been through in the past. And I think that's really, really important. We always talk about breadcrumbing. So when we say about breadcrumbing, this isn't necessarily putting a post out there saying, I've got a challenge group, come and join me. But this is breadcrumbing in terms of what this opportunity has done, or what being on your fitness journey has done for you. So, you know, we've got Beachbody, brilliant company, and we're using that more as a platform than like, here's my Shakeology, here's my Energize, here, you know, here's my Transform 20 workout schedule or whatever, because we are more than Beachbody. Every single one of us is a billion other things outside of Beachbody, and we have always been who we are. Beachbody has only been in our lives for a particular proportion of it. So there is definitely 5 things about you that you can share with authentically, whether that's that you're a fair mum, or whether that's that you work in the NHS, or whether that's that you've got a large family, Raven. You know, there's all of these different things that make up who you are that is more than just Beachbody. And Daniela Natoni did some really, really wonderful training on branding, and I need to go and find it again. I think she shared it in a group, in a striving for what was it? I was part of a group. I need to go and find it because it was absolutely bloody amazing, and I have tried to look for it on YouTube. But she has done some really wonderful things about branding and getting to know you, and it just, you know, it kind of resonated. This whole, it's BU is the acronym. I will go and find it. Because we are much more than Beachbody, and that is really, really important. I think we often get sort of a bit caught up with the latest thing that we're doing and forget that, you know, we need to be doing some of these other things. It's great that we, you know, of course we need to be inviting, but it's connecting, inviting and following up. It's, you know, that's why we changed our vital behavior from invite to that kind of connecting, inviting and follow up, because that's definitely more than what it's about. Another great tip that I saw was that every 9 posts on your Instagram should see those 5 things that mean something about you. So if you were scrolling on Instagram, my phone's about to die, but if I'm scrolling on Instagram and I need to definitely get better at this, those first 9 pictures in my Instagram should contain those 5 things about me. Mine do not. So I have got something to work on, you know. So I've got one here that's my health and fitness, and that can be one of your things. I've got my family, that's number 2. I've got that I like to go out and enjoy myself, that's number 3. But that is only 3 things. I've got more that I can be sharing, and, you know, doing it in your Instagram stories is really, really good. It also gives you a little bit of a sort of platform to test out going live and pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, because it disappears in 24 hours. And it also means that you can share, you know, no one wants to see from me 9 posts a day, but putting 9 posts in an Instagram story is absolutely fine. And again, it's about sharing some of those things that are going to really help you to build that trust, to build those relationships with people. I now feel that when I have a conversation with people, they already know quite a lot about me, and they're like, oh, how's Lila, and how's that little terrorist of a dog, because they've seen me and they've been following me for a while. And these types of things, and trust, it takes time to build. And that's something, you know, and Carl Deichler and so many people say it. I've got people joining who I've had conversations with last January. So, you know, it can take time. So that was one other thing. And what was the other thing I wanted to say? Dream and then dream some more. So this whole thing about going back over your goals, going back over your visions, but really visualize what it is that you want to achieve. It might be that you want a certain amount of money because you want to go and enjoy certain things with your family. It might be that you want to walk away from your full-time job. Whatever it is, visualization is something that is really, really powerful. Now, I am crap at visualization. I really, really struggle with it. I've been doing some with Sadia in my transformation coaching, and what I might do is I might get her to come and do a call with us. I think she'd probably be quite good at that in helping us with visualization. But we can't do that until we know what our goals are, until we really know the vision that we are trying to create and the goals that you are trying to achieve. That is where all of this comes out of. And we could do a gazillion and one trainings, but unless we have that and know what that is, and really then everything that we write and anyone that we talk to, we're really sharing our goals and our ambitions, then, you know, we've got to start there. You've got to start somewhere. So those are a few things that I wanted to share with you. There was another couple of things. I'm going to flip back in my book. Hold on. Yeah, so kind of with the storytelling, so I find that really, really difficult, and it might be that you just want to write it down. So that's why I've started journaling every day, just journaling that, and then writing in my true voice. Or if I kind of think like, oh, you know, I'm feeling this way, just spending a couple of minutes just free writing, and then I have my book, and when I'm struggling with my posts, I can look through it and say like, right, that was something that was really pivotal, and then I can reword it into an Instagram post. And embracing our mess, and don't be afraid to share some of those ugly parts of your life. So I'm doing a process at the moment where I'm writing down all of my struggles. I'm writing down what my struggles were, how that felt, and how I overcame them, because each and every time those are things that I can share authentically. So it could be something as simple as I struggle to work out because I've got 2 young kids and it's difficult for me to have that space and, you know, release that mummy guilt that we feel. So there's a whole post there about how, you know, this is how I felt, this is, you know, this was my struggle, this is how I felt, and this is how I overcame it. And in doing that, okay, people might not join us in this journey, but you are adding value to them and showing them what you have achieved and what you have done. And actually it's that adding value thing that is really going to help, you know, you to build relationships and to build that trust. And it makes you become relatable, it creates those connections, and that's really the key to kind of relationship building. So a few other things. So you're going to make a list of 5 things. Now, if you're struggling with those 5 things, make lists, for example, of your likes and dislikes. That's a really great place to start. So it might be that you love watching films, or you know, you love Harry Potter, or whatever it might be. You could create a list of events that you've been to, events that you want to go to, things that you want to do. Where do you want to go on holiday? Where have you been on holiday? What is, you know, what are some of your hobbies, and the seasons of life? So the challenges that you've been through and how you've got in them, and then sharing your background, what life's like, what you do like in your life, what you don't like in your life, how you're trying to overcome some of those dislikes. I need to share more of this because I often sit there and I'm like, right, okay, it's 8:30. I haven't shared on social media today. What am I going to share? And I get stuck because I haven't done enough of this. So I need to do this as much as everyone else. And yeah, and I think that's a really good platform to be able to then help us to break down, to not feel like we're trying to rehash content. But once you do have some of these things, it's then much more easy to share about it. Some of the top coaches do some of this stuff amazingly. I can't remember the name of the lady, but there was a national wake up call a few weeks ago, and she's had quite a battle with cancer. Now, she went into remission and recovery and was cancer free, I think 2 or 3 years ago. She still shares now every third or so post about her battle with cancer and her struggles and how she overcame that. So, you know, it's okay that it didn't happen yesterday. It's okay that it didn't happen 2 months ago, but it's part of your life. It's where you've got to now, and it's kind of, you know, part of your story. And, you know, people can see the benefits in your story, and, you know, they can relate to it. So I think that was about it, really. Has anyone come across anything in particular that, you know, on that same sort of area that they feel has helped them so far in their Instagram or in their Facebook sharing?
I just get really scared. I just get, like I've said to you before, about how, like, generally how much to share, like even face to face. And as you know, and you know, well, in all fairness, everyone on this call knows that I had a really rough year last year, and so I know that I need to share more about that, but I don't know whether I'm ready to. So it's finding that balance between how much value you can add, but also, whether you're ready to, which I did notice that you mentioned for the first time about losing a baby, and I was like, that is huge. And I was really proud of you, actually. And it's just taking a breath, isn't it, and knowing how ready you are and in that headspace, and if it's going to be helpful to you as well, because I do think, obviously, being a mental health nurse, we also need to look after ourselves. So if it's going to make us feel or struggle, then I would say don't share as much. But obviously it's the balance. And then you've said to me before, Hannah, about like sharing more with the people, like in person and over the phone and stuff, so you can share a bit. And then it's just figuring all of that stuff out. But I think I've even been a bit scared to write stuff down, and I've started journaling, and I've started doing all of that stuff. So I'm starting doing the background stuff. It's just that next stage of kind of going on to, right, what is my story? I'm almost a bit stuck. And then I think because I'm stuck there, I'm a bit stuck on my posts. But I do get it. I do get the point, and I do get the idea of it, and I do get that I need to. And I also do get that that's kind of possibly a missing connection for me as well. If you know what I mean. And like, obviously, that authenticity as well. So I'm just figuring it out. It's an ongoing process for me, but I'm just, I'm figuring it out.
I think just the power of sitting there. Hold on, the dogs are barking and Nick's doing absolutely sweet buffet about it. Hold on. No! Stop it! No! Sorry. Flipping dogs. I think there's so much power in, like, just writing down your story and writing down your struggles. Like, that actually, you're right. You don't necessarily need to go, this happened to me. It was, you know, blah, 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 blah. You might have it written down in your book, but you might choose to share it. You know, for example, for you, it might be, Vic, that, you know, you've just been through a very difficult couple of months. You don't need to say, this is what's happened in, you know, so I've done I've had a shit few months. And then, you know, and then sort of saying, and this is how I've got through it. So I leaned on my fellow coaches, my team, and my challenges, and that's how I got through it. And that's, you know, there's power in that of kind of women supporting women, and you're kind of showing people that actually it doesn't matter what the struggle is, but this is how you've overcome it. And it's that kind of our community and our, you know, our support system that we've set up. for example.
I find it hard as well. This is going to sound a bit weird. Like, I felt very, very lonely last year. And one of the things that really helped me was Beachbody, was jumping in with you, and was all of that community side of things, because it was lacking. And I'm like, how do I say that without insulting my friends, my family? Like, do you know what I mean? Because I agree. Like, there's so much benefit to it, and it's trying to find the way of phrasing it, isn't it?
But I tell you what,
that's me.
I don't want to write it and share it as a post in our coach page, because I definitely that's why I jumped in as a coach, because I felt, I felt lonely. I didn't have my family around me. I just had a kid. I felt that, I had all the risk factors for postnatal depression, and I was freaking out a little bit. I was in first time, all of these things. And it doesn't matter how many people you've got around you, you can still feel very lonely. Totally. So and write it and sound people out, and actually I think you'd be surprised with how many people it resonates with, even your family and friends. And I think they would.
I feel like that's kind of the missing connection, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people feel like this, and it's about feeling, it's continuing to feel comfortable making myself be vulnerable, if that makes sense.
Like, no, you're absolutely right.
But anyway, I don't want to keep trying, because obviously there's other people on this call as well.
But there's a book that apparently is very good called Mastering Your Mean Girl. Apparently that's quite good at helping with sharing some of these things and trying to help us be more authentic. That's not one I've heard of. I don't know who it's written by, so I just heard someone say it.
Sure.
So we all need to remember that we're here for a purpose, and if we hold back and someone we're sharing, we're not selling, are we? But if you're holding back and you're not sharing things, then actually you could be sharing something that could potentially change someone's life. You think about it that way, Vic. Like, if I hadn't told you about 2B mindset,
I know, I'd be
think
sat
life
here
now could be very different.
I'd be heavier than I was, so I know that. You're right.
Yeah, I know it's scary. It's really fucking scary. But you've just got a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
I know. Yeah.
So
Helen, right, Raven, I've been talking too long.
It's all right. We've got 7 minutes. Raven, was there anything that you wanted to share?
I was just going to say, I know where you're coming from, Vic, because I get like messages of family and stuff saying, do you have to say that? Like, but it's not my guilt that I'm carrying, it's theirs. And so in sharing the story and helping other people, so many people inbox and say like, oh my God, like that's exactly how I feel. But then I know that I'm affecting other people by saying certain things, so I do hold back and try and rejig the way that I'm saying something to make other people feel at ease. And so that's I'm trying to stop doing that and start telling. I have like this like story I tell about Bisto, and I was talking to Hannah about it, and I think I'm gonna tell that more, but it is hard. Yeah.
And just out of curiosity, Helen, your reason for joining us, was it because I was saying, oh, we've got this World Fitness Programme, or was it for some other reason?
Kind of was, well, I kind of knew about Beachbody beforehand, because I have some mates in the States, some friends from the States who I met for a Facebook group who were doing Beachbody. And I kind of had a couple of other coaches, American coaches, approach me. So kind of knew what it's about, but I went with you because you were more relatable, because you were UK based. So that but then part of the reason we're signing up was because I was getting lonely. I work from home, so I can go, a week sometimes with not talking to anyone, or having any real interaction with anyone apart from my husband and my daughter. And you know what it's like trying to get a decent conversation out of a teenage girl or out of a grumpy husband. So part of it was, a lot of it was because I didn't want to. I was feeling lonely. Knew I wanted to get fit, but going to the gym wasn't actually feel like I was interacting with people. You just stand on a treadmill or stand in a class next to someone, but you still weren't actually getting with people. So that's that's a lot of the reason why I signed up.
And there you go. And that is a great story in itself. And actually, we often, I know we bark on about how fabulous our team are, but I don't think people really believe us. And I tell you what, it was interesting. So I was on this Hendy this weekend, and I'm going to get Emma Keane to share her story a bit more widely. She's hilarious, first. One, she's hilarious. Two, she doesn't stop talking. So she's so quiet in our group. It's like she's a different person. But I didn't prompt her. I didn't do anything. She sat down and started preaching Beachbody to all of these hens, going, Hannah's amazing, Beachbody's amazing. But you know what? I thought it sounded like a cult when she was talking to me about the community of and what it was like. But actually, it's incredible. They're all in there spurring each other on. Even if we have bad days, they do this. And I was like, oh my God. I just sat there beaming because, as you know, this is why I love doing this. It's because it creates that space and we're creating this amazing thing. I struggle with how to get what we have in there to other people and sharing it authentically. And I've got a call with Scotty in a couple of minutes. I'm going to ask him about that, because that's something, you can say it's frigging amazing, but until someone is in there and they can see that how actually the power of a Facebook group can be so phenomenal, like I can't put it into words, and I'm struggling with that, which is why I think we need these little testimonials of people like talking on camera, and then we can post them in places, because I think it's that power of really hearing what these groups have done for people that is kind of the importance of it. Okay, cool. All right, well, I'm gonna love you and leave you. I will post the recording of this call, but I will find those calls, see if I can, I don't know, and I think I can work out how to save them. I've just got to find the group and all that sort of stuff from Daniela. She is just phenomenal. So I will see if I can find them and share them, because there's no point in me sort of talking to you about branding. Like, this is just a little bit of a kind of sneak peek into some of that stuff, but doing some of the things, like she literally says, right, you need to do this is how to do it, this is the best way to do it, to kind of be able to then feel like it's easier to then share your story, because you start to find a voice. It's all of a sudden going to cut out in a second. So thank you so much for your time, ladies. I hope that that's been helpful in some sense. I can't even remember what is next week, but I've also asked Abby Greening to come and do a call with us in a couple of weeks' time. So she's a top UK coach. So fab. All right, I love you all very much, and I will speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye.